Florida legislators are moving to ban social media for children under 16. Is this protecting children from addictive and dangerous behaviors? Is this restricting the rights of parents to decide what their children are exposed to? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, it's Dr. David. So in our ever non-ending attempt to try to help people understand and to define health, education, and the choices that people have, this brings up somewhat of an interesting topic because it kind of brings all of these things into one. And I have some interesting and some somewhat conflicting views in my own head about this, but I wanted to talk about it because I think it is important. Now, today we're going to be talking about the concerns about social media and what our children are exposed to, because that is a problem. Okay. We're going to talk about this new Florida bill that has passed in the House and is moving to the Senate at this point. And then we're going to also talk about where should parental rights fall within all of this. Okay, so first of all, let's define what social media is and look at the benefits and the potential dangers. Now, in a article printed by the American Academy of Pediatrics, the definition is a website or an app that allows users to create and share contact and interact with other users. We're going to see in a little bit how the state is defining it a little bit differently. Now, what are some of the potential benefits here? Well, first of all, when used properly, it can provide children and families with positive social interactions, have a social network, give them social support, and give them opportunities for learning. And then for patients and for families who may be struggling with chronic conditions, health problems, social media can also be providing education, the ability to connect with other people who may be undergoing similar circumstances, and it can help give access to people for additional types of resources. Now, there are, of course, potential dangers as well. First of all, it can amplify and make public the actions of children. Okay, so what should be allowed for children to be shared with the general public? It publicizes photos and locations for the children. It can expose children to cyberbullying. It can facilitate cyberbullying. It can expose the children to low quality information. There's a lot of misinformation out there on social media. It can expose children to inappropriate comment, whether it's pictures, whether it's comments being said. It also, of course, can lead to excessive screen time, which we know itself can be addictive, and it also can even be distracting for kids when they're trying to do their schoolwork, etc. Now, we also know that it can cause social withdrawal. There are people who just won't go out anymore because they're so addicted to their social media, and they will still have a social network, but it could slow down face-to-face human interaction. It can cause sleep problems, especially when these bright screens, are in front of children's faces in the hours leading up to bedtime. And the Academy of Pediatrics and I agree also that screen time should be kept to no more than 2 hours a day of non-educational time. So, of course, with school, with everything, doing their homework, they're on the computers. But in terms of the social exposures, this is true also for gaming, really shouldn't be more than 2 hours. Now, let's talk about Florida HB1. This is the bill. It is now passed through the Florida House, and it was a bipartisan, 106 in favor and only 13 against it. Okay, it's now, as I said, moving on to the Senate. Now, this doesn't actually ban all forms of social media, and in part because, as I said, the definition that they're using is slightly different. However, it doesn't mention specific apps at this point that are accessible, that would be allowable and which were not. Okay. Now, the focus, as I said, it's specifically on children under the age of 16. And their goal, according to the legislators, is to try to restrict addictive behaviors as well as dangerous situations. Now, within the bill, it defines social media platforms. That's the term that's being used in this bill. As an online forum, website, or application offered by an entity that does all of the following. So if it doesn't do all of these, the state's not referring to this as a social media platform. Number one, allows the platform to track the account holder's activities on the app. Number two, allows for the account holder, in this case the kids, to upload content or view the content of activities of other account holders. Number three, allows the account holder to interact with or track other account holders. Number 4, utilizes addictive, harmful, or deceptive design features or any other feature that is designed to cause an account holder to have an excessive or compulsive need to use or engage with the social media platform. And number 5, allows for algorithms to track the activity of the account holder to control or target at least part of the content seen. Okay, now that's a lot. And, it is all 5 of those things. And there are some apps that will do some of these things, but not others. But what it also does go on to specifically define what it is not. Okay, so it does not include any online service, website, or application where the predominant or exclusive function is email, face-to-face video conversations like FaceTime, Zoom, etc. Direct messaging that consists of texts, photos, or videos that are sent between specific devices by electronic means where the messages are shared and visible to the senders and the receipts and are not posted publicly. So in other words, still being able to connect with their friends, having a friend circle, etc. Streaming services that provides only licensed media, so Netflix, Amazon Video, etc., like that. News, sports, and entertainment or other content that is not user generated. Interactive virtual gaming. Academic, scholarly, or genealogical research content that that's posted by the provider of the online service, but it's specifically for those purposes. But if it allows for the chatting, commenting, or interacting with other users if directly related to the provider content. So if the provider posts something, people can reply and comment back and forth as long as it's specific to that content. Now, the repercussions, according to the Florida bill in its current state, is that it doesn't punish the parents. It punishes the app provider. Okay, so that's a lot of very interesting things. And, when you hear on the news, when you hear they're trying to ban all social media for kids, that's not exactly what is doing, maybe from the, in terms of how they're defining what a social media platform is. Okay, so now let's talk about parental rights. We've talked time and time again on this channel about parental rights, that I am one who, in general, defers to parental rights when it comes to all things, whether it comes to vaccines, whether it comes to how one educates their child, how they feed their child. It obviously should be up to the parent. And of course, we hope that parents are making wise decisions. But of course, what's wise for one family may not be wise for another. Now, but there are a couple of things that I thought of. We don't have full rights as parents. Car seats, seatbelt laws, those are laws. We can't just choose not to because we don't want to, or we think, to put our kid in a car seat or with seatbelts. We can't just expose children to porn. Okay. Children are not allowed to get tattoos unless they're over 16. Of course, and marriage is only allowed in the 16 to 8 years old with parental consent. And if your 15-year-old child wants to get married, even if you are okay with it, they can't. And of course, it's illegal to give parents alcohol. It's illegal to give their kids tobacco, or to drive without a learner's permit. So, obviously, there's much precedence within the law, both federally as well as at the state level, that parents don't get full rights over everything that happens with their children. Okay, so my general take on this. In general, I am in favor of not allowing children to be exposed to addictive and to dangerous situations. I am concerned, however, about the nebulousness of what this is and who is making the decisions as to whether something is okay. I'll give an example of this. One of the platforms that my 15-year-old daughter uses is Snapchat. Now, my understanding is that this is not shared with the public, that this is only shared within their friend group. So by this definition, it wouldn't fall under that category. And of course, as I said, kids can text with each other, kids can FaceTime with each other. So the biggest thing when I first heard about this was I was actually kind of mortified, because I remember, and I'm sure we all do if you had a child, especially during the pandemic, during lockdown, this was often the only way that our kids were able to socialize. They were able to see and communicate with their friends. Very important, especially for adolescents, to be able to do that. But as I said, it does seem as if there will be platforms available to continue to do that, as long as it's not being shared with the public, being posted in the public, and there's not algorithms that are directing all of that. But I still see lots of different points here. So I'd be interested. Please share your comments right down below. Tell me what you think about this. Do you think that this is a good idea? Do you think it should be improved? I know that some states are doing this, but with allowing that kids are still allowed to sign up for it with parental permission only. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting topic, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. So let me know. Have a nice day.